Hello, guys. Welcome back. Also speaking, part two, QCAL question. We have a new question here. Describe a gift you received that made you happy. You should say what it was, who gave it to you, and when you received it, and explain why it made you happy. So I prepared my notes here. As you know, you have 1 minute to prepare for the question, or think about the question, or think about what you're going to say. You don't have to specifically take the notes and write them down, even though they usually give you a piece of paper, and a pencil to write down your notes. But this part is your choice. If you want, you could just study the question and think of something that you want to talk about and go on talk about it. But if you think like you needed some little notes to check them, you can do this. So you have to practice and see which method is best for you. And if you happen to practice one method and get used to it, don't go in the examination and just change the methodology unless it's very, very necessary for you to take notes or to change that method. So just go with something that you have been practicing all the time. That saves you a lot of energy. And there is one thing about exams, though, that's why we always persist on practicing because once you practice, you save a lot of mental energy during the exam. You could be really, really smart and you could solve most of the questions easily. But if you don't practice, you're going to use a lot of power trying to solve these questions in the examination, and your brain is going to be tired after some time, and you won't be able to make sense of what you're doing. And you'll be like, okay, I was really good before the exam, but in the examinations, I couldn't think. Why? It's because the exam is very long and it requires you to think deeper. So whenever you are studying for this examination, try to go and do things as if you're in the examination. Practice as much as you can. If you're gonna have your brain hurting, it has to be before the examination. When you have proper training, the match is much more easier. That's what we say. So I'm going to talk about my smartphone here, and it's my father who gave it to me, and it was year 2007, and it was my first phone, so that's what made me happy. Okay, I'm going to start answering this question. So I remember when I was young boy and I was going to a boarding school. I didn't have a phone in the first year. When I came back home, I talked about it with my father, and he realized, of course, it was very difficult to communicate when you are really far away. So he decided to give me his smartphone, the one that he used to use. And I remember the brand was Nokia. Back then, Nokia was one of the coolest phones. So I really liked this phone because it helped me to communicate not only with my family, but also with my friends, the friends that I have happened to keep over years and years. And due to that phone, I could probably create stronger relationships with them because we didn't only communicate during school days or for exchanging notes or probably talking about our lessons or planning our discussions, but also used this phone to communicate on holidays. So when I was going to a different city, they were going to different cities, and we could actually call each other and text each other. And I remember we used to have these offers, right? After 12, people could call for free, especially students. So when you're a student and you have your online, after 12, you could just go online and you could just talk to people, and your beloved ones if they are still working. But it was usually the conversations between students and the young people because most adults wouldn't prefer to speak after 12. So those were one of my happiest moments, especially in the first months once I had received the phone. Yes, so that's the end of my answer. So I want to insist on one thing that I told you in the beginning: practice, practice, practice. Try to create a real exam scenario, you know, by yourself and try to answer these questions. Try to practice as much as you can. Once you have watched this one or two times, just to go and take the questions by yourself and try to practice. You could use my answer as well, even though the best police I always say is trying to find the facts that surround your life. That's going to be much more easier to remember and practice with many questions as much as possible. Because even if we don't get the exact question, after practicing so many questions, you're probably going to encounter similar or familiar topics. So keep on practicing. Don't give up, and I'm wishing all the best to you. And if you are a teacher, I'm wishing all the best to you and your students. Take care of yourself, and until next time, best of luck.